The ancient Stoics, with their profound understanding of human behavior, knew the importance of mastering psychology, and not just for self-control, but for navigating relationships with women. They lived lives of deep introspection, unraveling the complexities of human nature, including the nuances of female psychology. Today, we'll tap into some of that wisdom to explore 7 crucial things that most men never know before they sleep with a woman, and these can make or break your experience. Stay with me until the end, because what you'll learn in this video could change everything. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own experiences in the comments. Chapter 1: The Trap of Comparison. You might think that with every new woman comes a fresh start, a clean slate. But here's the harsh truth that very few men know. Women often compare their new partners to their exes, and this comparison begins the moment you first sleep together. It's automatic, subconscious, and something she's not even fully aware of herself. Her mind is racing through similarities and differences, weighing how you measure up. And this comparison isn't just about physical performance. It's much deeper, about how you make her feel emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. Let's break this down. Women have memories tied to their past experiences, and those experiences shape their expectations. When she's with you, especially for the first time, she might reflect on whether you're attentive in ways her ex wasn't, if you handle intimacy differently, or if you exude confidence that she missed before. She could be comparing how you touch her, how you react to her body, or even the way you communicate during sex. It's important to understand that these comparisons aren't something she necessarily wants to make, they just happen. And the first time you sleep together is when her brain is in overdrive, trying to gauge whether you'll be a better fit than those who came before you. The psychological weight of past relationships can heavily influence how she experiences you in bed, whether that comparison works in your favor or not. Now, what most men get wrong here is that they either overcompensate or become hyper-conscious about it. They get caught up in trying to prove that they are better than her exes, that they can be the best she's ever had. This pressure can make you seem inauthentic or overly rehearsed. Women are incredibly perceptive when it comes to authenticity, and if she senses that you're trying too hard, she'll see right through it. Instead, the key is to be confident in your own skin. Forget about the imaginary competition with her ex. If you're focused on trying to outshine her past lovers, you're only taking yourself out of the moment. Women value presence more than performance. They're not keeping a scorecard of who lasted longer or who had better moves. They're far more tuned into the energy and connection they feel with you in that moment. This is why men who come off as self-assured, unbothered by the past, and genuinely interested in their partner end up winning the game without even trying. But how do you actually accomplish this? The secret lies in understanding that the moment isn't about her past, it's about your present. Focus on how she's responding to you, not what she may have experienced before. Pay attention to her body language, her breathing, her reactions to your touch. When you do this, you shift the energy from comparison to connection. The more in tune you are with her in the moment, the quicker she'll forget about her exes because, frankly, they'll become irrelevant. It's also worth noting that emotional engagement plays a significant role here. Women often link emotional and physical intimacy far more closely than men do. This means that if you're cold, distant, or focused only on the physical act, she might find herself drifting back to memories of her ex who made her feel emotionally validated, even if he wasn't great in bed. On the flip side, if you make her feel seen, heard, and appreciated, a comparison to her exes will fade because she's now emotionally invested in you. Understanding the psychology behind this comparison can also empower you to create a deeper connection. You don't need to talk about her exes or pry into her past relationships, but you do need to establish a sense of emotional safety and trust. When a woman feels safe with you, both emotionally and physically, she's less likely to let her mind wander back to her past lovers. she'll be more focused on the unique experience you're creating together. One other thing that tends to trigger comparisons is overthinking or anxiety, both on her part and yours. If you're anxious about whether you're measuring up, she'll pick up on that energy. Anxiety can be contagious, and it can take her out of the moment, causing her to default back to what she knows, her past experiences. This is why maintaining a calm, collected attitude is crucial. When you're at ease, she will be too, and that's when true connection happens. Lastly, don't underestimate the power of aftercare. How you behave post-sex can dramatically influence how she views the experience. If her ex was the type to roll over and fall asleep, or worse, leave immediately after, showing genuine interest in her well-being afterward can set you apart. Even small gestures like talking, cuddling, or just asking her how she feels can make her feel special and appreciated. These moments build a lasting impression that her exes likely never could. In the end, what really breaks the cycle of comparison is being fully present. Don't let her exes occupy space in your mind or hers. Show her something new, something authentic. Women value a man who is secure in himself, who doesn't need to compete with ghosts of the past. If you focus on creating a unique, meaningful connection with her, she'll be too captivated by what you're offering to even think about her exes. Chapter 2. Protection is non-negotiable. Let's be clear, no matter how much chemistry you feel, no matter how beautiful or seemingly clean a woman looks, using protection is absolutely non-negotiable. Far too many men let their guard down in the heat of the moment, and that can lead to life-altering consequences, both for your health and your future. Here's what you need to understand. Protection is not just about preventing pregnancies, it's also about safeguarding your sexual health. STDs don't discriminate based on appearance or attraction. When you're in the moment, it might be tempting to think, she looks healthy, she's probably fine, or worse, it's just one time. But STDs often don't show any visible signs. A woman might be carrying something without even knowing it. This isn't a judgment on her character, it's just a biological reality. So, unless both of you have been tested recently and you're in a committed, monogamous relationship, you need to take responsibility for your own health. That means condoms, every time, no excuses. Some men fall into the trap of thinking that if a woman is really attractive, they're willing to take the risk. Maybe it's the rush of being with someone you've been fantasizing about, or maybe it's that primal instinct kicking in. But remember, your health is more valuable than any fleeting moment of pleasure. An encounter that lasts a few minutes could lead to consequences that last a lifetime. Now, let's address a common myth. Some men believe that the responsibility for protection lies solely with the woman, particularly if she's on birth control. This is a dangerous assumption. Birth control prevents pregnancy, but it does nothing to protect against STDs. Even if she's on the pill or has an IUD, that doesn't give you a free pass to skip the condom. You still need that barrier of protection between you and her. And it's not just about you. Using protection shows her that you respect her well-being as much as your own. It sends a signal that you're responsible, that you care about more than just your own pleasure. Believe me, women notice this. A man who takes the time to protect both himself and his partner is seen as mature and considerate. This simple act can elevate how she perceives you, or not just as a sexual partner, but as someone she can trust. But what if she tries to convince you not to use protection? Maybe she tells you that she's been tested recently, or she insists she's on birth control. Regardless of what she says, stand your ground. Your health is your responsibility, and it's not worth taking someone else's word for it, especially when the risks are so high. If she's truly someone worth being with, she'll respect your decision to stay protected. If she pushes back or gets defensive, that's a red flag. Any woman who doesn't care about your health is someone you shouldn't be risking it with. It's also essential to have these conversations before things get hot and heavy. Don't wait until you're both in the throes of passion to bring up the condom talk. That's a recipe for bad decisions. Make it clear from the start that protection is important to you. This way, there are no surprises or awkward moments, and you can focus on the connection without worrying about the consequences later. Finally, there's the issue of trust. Some men think that if a woman insists she's clean, it must be true. But here's the reality: trust doesn't replace responsibility. Even if you've been dating her for a while, it's smart to still use protection unless both of you have been tested and had a clear, open discussion about your sexual health histories. Trust is important, but trust without caution can lead to serious health issues. Remember, the most attractive thing you can do is protect yourself. Women notice when a man values his health and well-being. It shows maturity, responsibility, and a respect for her body and yours. Don't let the heat of the moment cloud your judgment. Always be prepared, always protect yourself, and never leave your health to chance. Chapter 3: The Truth About Orgasm Expectations. Let's dive into a topic that often trips men up: orgasm expectations. There's a widespread belief among men that if a woman doesn't have an orgasm during sex, something's wrong. But here's the reality: not every woman needs to climax to enjoy the experience, and especially during a first encounter, focusing too much on her orgasm can actually ruin the moment. The first time you sleep with a woman, the pressure on both sides can be intense. She may feel nervous, self-conscious, or unsure about how comfortable she is with you. You, on the other hand, might be thinking that making her orgasm is the ultimate proof that you're good in bed. But this mindset is flawed because it turns sex into a performance rather than an intimate connection. The focus becomes, did I do it right, rather than, did we connect? For many women, especially during a first sexual encounter, there are layers of emotions and psychology at play that can impact whether or not they orgasm. Anxiety, body image issues, and trust all factor in. If she's worried about how she looks, how she smells, or how you're perceiving her, it's hard for her to relax. And relaxation is key for most women to even begin to reach orgasm. What you need to understand is that her orgasm, or lack thereof, isn't a reflection of your abilities. For some women, climaxing with a new partner simply doesn't happen right away. She might need time to get used to your rhythm, your touch, and your presence before she feels comfortable enough to let go fully. This doesn't mean she didn't enjoy herself. Women can derive a lot of pleasure from the experience without having an orgasm, especially if they feel connected to their partner. That said, this doesn't give you an excuse to ignore her needs or desires. The key is not to make her orgasm the only goal. Instead, focus on the overall experience, on making her feel comfortable, respected, and desired. The best thing you can do is to communicate with her. Ask what she likes, pay attention to her body language, and don't be afraid to talk openly about what feels good for both of you. Sometimes, simply knowing that you care about her pleasure is enough to make her feel amazing, even if she doesn't reach orgasm. Also, remember that foreplay plays a massive role in female pleasure. Rushing through it to get to intercourse can leave her feeling unsatisfied, even if you think you're doing everything right during sex. Women often need more time to warm up, both physically and mentally, before they can fully enjoy the experience. Take your time with her, and you'll likely find that the overall experience becomes much more fulfilling for both of you. The worst thing you can do is to start stressing out or making comments if she doesn't climax. Women can sense when you're overly concerned about their orgasm, and this can make them feel like they're failing or that something's wrong with them. This pressure often creates a mental block, making it even harder for her to let go. Stay calm, stay focused on the connection, and understand that it's not a race to the finish line. In the end, an orgasm is just one aspect of a larger, more complex experience. What matters most is how you make her feel throughout the entire encounter, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Don't put all your energy into chasing the orgasm, put it into building intimacy and trust. When she feels the deep connection with you, her body will naturally respond, and whether or not she climaxes, she'll be much more likely to come back for more. Chapter 4: Sensing in Experience. Women have an uncanny ability to pick up on nervous energy, even when you think you're playing it cool. From the moment you step into the bedroom, your energy speaks volumes, far more than words or actions. If you're nervous, hesitant, or trying too hard to make a lasting impression, trust me, she'll pick up on it immediately. This can dramatically affect her perception of you and, ultimately, the entire sexual experience. For a lot of men, the first time with a new partner can feel like walking a tightrope. You want to impress her, make her feel good, and ensure the encounter is memorable. But here's the irony: the harder you try to impress her, the more you're likely to appear inexperienced. Why is that? Because when you're truly confident and self-assured, you don't feel the need to prove anything. You're not overthinking every little detail or worrying about whether you're performing up to some standard. You're just present, in the moment, allowing the connection to unfold naturally. What many men don't realize is that women aren't looking for perfection. They're not expecting you to be the most skilled lover right off the bat. What they want is someone who is comfortable in his own skin, someone who is secure, relaxed, and able to go with the flow. Confidence is attractive because it communicates that you're in control, not just of the situation, but of yourself. And this type of self-possession speaks louder than any grand gesture or practiced move ever could. The problem arises when men equate confidence with performance. You might think that delivering the perfect experience is the key to winning her over, but in reality, it's your ability to handle imperfections that makes the biggest impact. Every sexual encounter is different, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach that guarantees success. Sometimes things won't go as planned, maybe you're too eager, maybe there's a moment of awkwardness, but how you react in those moments is what truly sets you apart. A man who can laugh off a misstep or take a pause without panicking is far more appealing than one who tries to bulldoze through the situation, desperate to save face. This brings us to another crucial point: women don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be present. If you're overly concerned with technique, focusing on every move like you're performing in some kind of sexual Olympics, you're going to miss the real opportunity: connecting with her. Women want to feel a genuine connection, and that's something you can only offer when you stop worrying about whether or not you're impressing her. When you're tense or anxious, it's not just your behavior that changes, it's your entire energy. Women are incredibly attuned to shifts in mood and vibe. If they sense that you're nervous or overcompensating, it can make them feel uncomfortable or even self-conscious. They might start questioning whether they're doing something wrong, or worse, they may disconnect emotionally because the vibe feels forced or off. In contrast, when a man is calm and collected, it sets the tone for the entire experience, allowing her to relax and be fully present. This doesn't mean you should fake confidence. In fact, trying to fake anything is a surefire way to come across as insecure. Women are incredibly perceptive, and they can spot inauthenticity from a mile away. If you're feeling a little nervous, that's okay. The key is not to let that nervousness control you. Acknowledge it, but don't dwell on it. The more you focus on the moment and on her, rather than on how well you think you're doing, the more natural the encounter will feel for both of you. It's also worth noting that vulnerability can be attractive, as long as it's genuine. If you're nervous because you really like her and want things to go well, it's okay to admit that. Sometimes, being upfront about your feelings can actually work in your favor. It shows that you're emotionally aware and confident enough to share what's really going on inside your head. This kind of openness can build intimacy and trust, which are essential for a truly satisfying sexual connection. On the flip side, when you're trying too hard to mask your nerves or overcompensate with bravado, it can have the opposite effect. Women can tell when you're putting on a show. The moment she senses you're more focused on your performance than on her, she'll start to disengage. The best lovers aren't necessarily the most skilled or the ones with the most experience. They're the ones who can create a comfortable, relaxed atmosphere where both partners feel free to explore and enjoy each other without pressure. Confidence, then, isn't about executing the perfect technique or following a set script. It's about being adaptable, open, and willing to let the moment take its natural course. Women appreciate men who can handle uncertainty with grace, who don't crumble under pressure, and who don't let a few nerves ruin the experience. When you're comfortable with yourself, you give her permission to be comfortable with herself too. That's when the magic happens. Ultimately, the secret to avoiding the inexperienced trap is simple: be yourself. Don't try to fit into some preconceived notion of what you think she wants. Women are far more interested in who you are as a person than in whether you've mastered some arbitrary sexual checklist. If you can relax, be present, and genuinely enjoy the moment without overthinking it, she'll respond to that energy. And in the end, that's what matters most. Chapter 5: Fertility Awareness. This might not be something you've thought much about, but if you're sleeping with women, you need to understand fertility awareness. A woman's fertility cycle isn't just a minor detail, it's a major factor in whether or not your casual hookup turns into a life-altering commitment. Whether you want to avoid unplanned pregnancies or just make informed decisions, knowing when a woman is most fertile is key. Let's be blunt, some women are more aware of their fertility cycle than they let on. In fact, some may use that knowledge to their advantage. You need to be aware of when a woman is most likely to get pregnant, her ovulation window, which typically occurs around days 12 to 16 of her cycle. If you're not actively using protection, this is the time when unplanned pregnancies can and do happen. And trust me, I thought she was on birth control won't be much consolation when you're staring at a positive pregnancy test. Here's where it gets tricky. While many women are responsible about their fertility and take precautions, there are cases where a woman might not be entirely transparent with you. Some may hope for an accidental pregnancy as a way to lock in our partner or elevate the seriousness of a casual relationship. While this doesn't apply to all women, the reality is that there are situations where men find themselves in fatherhood not because they were careless, but because they didn't understand the dynamics of fertility timing and trusted someone without taking their own precautions. For example, if a woman insists she's not in her fertile period or assures you that it's a safe day, don't just take her word for it. Unless you're tracking her cycle, which, let's be honest, is unlikely if you're in a casual or early-stage relationship, you can't be certain. And unless you're ready for the possibility of being a father, you need to use protection every single time, regardless of what she says. Birth control isn't just her responsibility, it's yours too, because the consequences affect both of you. And then there's the biological side of things. A woman's libido can spike during her ovulation period due to hormonal changes. This might mean she's more enthusiastic, more seductive, and more into you than usual. The catch? This is also when she's most fertile. So while her interest in you might skyrocket, the risks of pregnancy are also at their peak. Understanding this can save you from thinking, why is she suddenly so into me, and instead help you realize this might be her ovulation talking. It's not just about the possibility of pregnancy, either. There's an underlying power dynamic in understanding fertility. Men who are aware of a woman's cycle are less likely to be manipulated, even unintentionally. If you know how fertility works, you're better equipped to protect yourself from life-changing surprises. Fertility isn't something to leave to chance or trust entirely to someone else's word. In the end, being aware of a woman's fertile window gives you control. It's not about fear, it's about being smart. When you're equipped with knowledge, you can navigate your sexual relationships with confidence, knowing that you've taken every possible step to protect yourself. Use protection, know the risks, and always be mindful of timing. Because nothing disrupts your life plan faster than unexpected fatherhood. Chapter 6: Understanding Emotional Triggers During Sex. Sex is never just physical for women, no matter how casual the encounter may seem. This is something that even experienced men often overlook. Emotional triggers are a massive part of female psychology during sex, and if you don't understand what drives her emotions, you're missing a big piece of the puzzle. When a woman engages in sex, especially for the first time with someone new, her emotional triggers are firing in all directions. These triggers can be rooted in past experiences, her self-image, her expectations for the relationship, or even deeper insecurities. If you fail to recognize these triggers, you're not only risking a lack of connection, but also setting the stage for potential drama later on. For instance, some women may have unresolved trauma or emotional baggage from previous relationships, especially if they've been hurt or betrayed before. If you do or say something that reminds her of a painful past experience, even unintentionally, it can lead to a negative emotional reaction. She might suddenly pull back, become distant, or even lose interest in continuing the encounter, and you'll be left wondering what went wrong. Here's the key: be aware of her cues, both verbal and non-verbal. If she seems tense or uneasy at any point, don't just plow ahead. Stop and ask her what she's feeling. This simple act of checking in can diffuse any potential emotional landmine before it explodes. Women appreciate a man who is in tune with their emotional state, not just their body. Another common emotional trigger is feeling undervalued. If a woman senses that you're treating her like just another notch on the bedpost, you're going to hit a wall fast. Women, even in casual hookups, want to feel desired and respected. If she gets even the slightest hint that you're just using her for sex, it can shut her down emotionally, making the whole experience awkward or cold. Be present in the moment and make her feel like she's the only one that matters right then and there. Don't just go through the motions, engage with her on a deeper level. One major pitfall is bringing up the future too soon, especially if it's not what she's ready for. Some men, in an effort to seem caring or connected, make the mistake of talking about potential relationships or the future during or immediately after sex. While this may seem like a good way to build emotional intimacy, it can actually have the opposite effect, especially if she was viewing the encounter as something more casual. Bringing up future plans too soon can trigger feelings of being trapped or pressured, causing her to pull away. On the flip side, some women may get attached emotionally, even when the encounter was meant to be casual. This is where understanding emotional triggers becomes crucial. If you sense she's forming an emotional bond after the first time you've slept together, and you're not on the same page, it's better to have a direct conversation sooner rather than later. Leading her on by pretending everything's fine will only cause more damage down the road. Respect her emotions, but also be honest about your intentions. Recognizing these emotional triggers doesn't make sex more complicated, it makes it more meaningful. When you're aware of how deeply emotions can run during sex, you can navigate the situation with much more finesse and control. Women who feel emotionally understood are far more likely to want to continue seeing you, and you avoid the pitfalls of hurt feelings and miscommunication. Chapter 7: The Subtle Art of Sexual Dominance. One of the most misunderstood aspects of female psychology is the role of sexual dominance. Women, even those who are independent and strong-willed, often respond positively to a man who knows how to take charge in bed in the right way. But here's the catch: dominance isn't about being forceful or aggressive. It's about understanding the balance between assertiveness and attentiveness. What you need to realize is that many women want a man who can lead sexually, but not in a way that feels overbearing or disrespectful. A sexually dominant man isn't one who ignores her boundaries or bulldozes through her desires. Instead, he's someone who's confident enough to take control while still being attuned to her responses. It's a subtle dance between power and sensitivity. For example, guiding her movements or positioning her body in a way that feels natural and connected can be incredibly sexy for a woman. It shows that you're in control, but also that you're engaged with her pleasure. However, dominance without consideration quickly turns into selfishness. A lot of men think dominance means going hard and fast, but in reality, it's about being in command of the experience while still paying close attention to how she's responding. The trick is to take the lead without ignoring her cues. You can assert dominance through small actions, like holding eye contact, setting the pace, or even through verbal communication. Women often enjoy a man who can take charge of the situation, but only if he's aware enough to adjust when needed. If she's pulling back or showing signs of discomfort, a dominant man doesn't just push forward. He reassesses, recalibrates, and finds a new way to assert control that aligns with her comfort. Some women might even test your ability to be dominant without crossing boundaries. They'll pull back just to see how you handle it, whether you push too hard, back off entirely, or find the right balance of continuing without losing control. Passing these subtle tests requires awareness and control on your part, not just of her, but of your own impulses. Women are incredibly perceptive, and if they sense you're capable of maintaining dominance while respecting their limits, it's a huge turn-on. The final key to sexual dominance is communication. Contrary to popular belief, being dominant doesn't mean being silent. In fact, the most dominant men are the ones who aren't afraid to talk, whether it's giving commands, asking questions, or just checking in on her. Women love a man who can confidently express what he wants while still being open to feedback. Dominance, after all, is about leadership, and good leaders always communicate clearly. Mastering the art of sexual dominance isn't about overpowering a woman, it's about creating an experience where she feels safe, aroused, and deeply connected to you. It's about showing her that you can lead the way while still being fully present to her needs and desires. Women are drawn to men who can strike that perfect balance between control and attentiveness, and once you've mastered that, you'll be someone she'll always come back to. So, there you have it, 7 key insights into understanding female psychology that only 1% of men truly grasp. Each one of these concepts, whether it's recognizing the subtle comparisons she makes to her exes, staying vigilant about protection, managing expectations around orgasm, or mastering the balance between dominance and attentiveness, gives you the edge most men miss. This is what separates those who fumble in the dark from those who truly connect on a deeper, more impactful level. The truth is, sex is never just physical for women. It's an intricate dance of emotions, instincts, and unspoken cues. If you want to be part of that 1%, the men who women can't forget, it's not about being the most physically gifted or experienced. It's about understanding her mind, respecting her body, and navigating the complexities with confidence and awareness. Before we wrap up, remember, knowledge is power, but it's useless unless you put it into practice. Be mindful, be intentional, and most importantly, be yourself. Women notice men who are genuine, in control of themselves, and tuned into what really matters in the moment. Now, if you found these insights valuable, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. If you've got stories of your own, drop them down below. We'd love to hear how you've handled similar situations. And make sure you stick around for future episodes where we dive even deeper into the secrets that can transform your relationships with women. Until next time, stay sharp and stay ahead of the game.